All right, welcome back. So last week, as you might know, the West Virginia Senator Joe Manchin shook up the 2024 Senate map with his announcement that he'd be retiring. But the West Virginia senator also left the door open to a third-party presidential run next year. Could it happen? NewsNation's Chris Stirewalt is here to break it all down. Chris?
Now, you would think that having an incumbent Democratic senator step down and not run for re-election would be bad news for Democrats. Not really, because they were going to lose that seat anyway. Joe Manchin barely won the seat in 2018, which was a really good year for Democrats against a very weak candidate that Republicans had. This time, it's going to be a quadrennial year. The Republican nominee, especially if it's Trump, will win by more than 40 points. And the state's popular Republican governor is in a boat race for their nomination for the Senate. So now that Joe Manchin's not running for the Senate, that means that Democrats don't have to pay lip service. Never forget, when you're talking about Joe Manchin in the Senate, there is nothing that progressives hate. There is no one that progressives hate in America more than Senator Joe Manchin. With the white-hot heat of 10,000 coal-fired power plants, do they hate Joe Manchin for what he has done to screw up climate agenda, Green New Deal, So what does that mean? It means, if you look at the map right here, that now it's a smaller space that Democrats can focus their resources. They don't have to pay lip service to an incumbent. They can just focus on these states. These are the keys: Ohio, Montana, Nevada, Arizona. Those are the four that Democrats basically have to sweep if they want to hold on to the Senate. They're probably not going to hold on to the Senate, but those are the four that they would have to sweep. They don't have to worry about West Virginia anymore. Okay, so what's Joe Manchin going to do? He said a bunch of gobbledygook about, we're going to see if we can energize the center, and I'm going to go on a walkabout around the country and talk to people, blah, 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 blah. What does that mean? It means he's running for the No Labels nomination. What's No Labels? It's Joe Lieberman, it's Larry Hogan. It's a bipartisan group, reviled as squishes by the extremes in both parties, but they're going to meet in Dallas in April, and they're going to pick a nominee to be on the ballot in, they say, all 50 states by then. Joe Manchin has been running for this for a while. Now he's really running for it, and he and his daughter are going around the country. They're trying to raise $100 million. Problem: they don't know what it takes to try to win the No Labels nomination, because No Labels doesn't know what it's going to take to try to win the No Labels nomination. But he is in the running for it. But look at the value that nomination already has. I want you to look at the ballot access for No Labels. Okay, it's not that many, but look what's on there. Big, important swing states: Arizona, Nevada, North Carolina. Florida is very significant there. Florida, if No Labels is on the ballot in Florida and they could just do 3 or 4%, if they took it out of Donald Trump's hide, it could definitely throw the election. Look right here. Presidential election results. We have a thing with the pictures of these guys that you see 10 million times a day. They're right there. You know what they look like. Aha, there they are. But just to be clear, it's pretty close, actually, in Florida. So here's the deal. Joe Manchin is pursuing a thing of value. In order to do it, he has to suck up to Republicans a lot. You know what would be a good place to suck up to Republicans right now? A narrowly divided United States Senate, in which he will have the opportunity over the coming weeks to vote on a bunch of stuff that will make Democrats furious. And now he doesn't have to worry about what Democrats think about him at all, because they can't threaten to take away his reelection money. They can't do anything else. Prediction: Joe Manchin is going to be an agent of disruption in a big way for the rest of his lame duck session, because that will help him run for the No Labels nod.
There we go. Stirewalt breaks it down.
Those are things I said.
Yep. So you're basically, and in Florida, you're saying with 360,000 votes there from 2020, if he picks it off one way or another, he could move the state one way or another.
There's no appetite for No Labels to run a Democrat, basically. So Joe Manchin has to become a Republican. When you get right down to it, if the first rule for No Labels is, first, you can't help Donald Trump become president, which I think, based on who's donating to them and what's going on, you can't do that. Joe Manchin has a problem. He's a D. If they want to block, make sure that they block Trump from the White House, they need somebody that Republicans will vote for, but Democrats won't. Joe Manchin has a little moment in the Senate where he can cause disruption and rebrand himself.
And he has serious cash. Sorry for interrupting. He has some serious cash from his reelect. I think he has $11 million. And he and Heather are raising $100 million. But I also think that one thing that I don't think you mentioned in regards to No Labels is that they're only going to run a candidate if it's Biden and Trump.
Well, it's hard.
And you're right, they do want to have a Republican as the top of the ticket.
Mark Short, you have a Ron DeSantis level of a grimace going on there. So I feel like you didn't agree with my analysis.
Well, Chris, I never like to disagree with your analysis. I do think that Manchin is going to continue to be a thorn in the side of Democrats, and particularly as unleashed to an extent that he felt any allegiance still to the Democrats. But I think any third-party candidate helps Donald Trump, because the reality is that Donald Trump's support is so polarized. The people are never going to leave him, and the people always vote against him. If you're given an alternative to who they vote against, and there's Biden plus other choices, there's a lot of disaffected Republicans who don't want to vote for Biden. If you give them another choice, they'll go there. The people who are for Trump are never going to leave Trump.
Thank you for watching, and make sure you go to joinnn.com to find NewsNation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.